All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to American Orthodoxy. I'm your host, Benjamin Michael, as always, and today I have a special episode for you. As usual, for a Thursday, I'm going to be reacting to one of my debates. This one is actually a less well-known debate that I had with an atheist by the name of Craig, and it was like total Reddit tier nonsense, so it was pretty fun. I think you guys are going to enjoy it, and I don't think most of you have seen this yet. So this is going to be a first time for a lot of you. So we're going to sit back and we're going to enjoy it. Also, I just want to go over a few things. So I've done a ton of collaborations this last week. Particularly, I did one with what's called the Jay Burden Show, which was a Protestant brother. In fact, what I might do is I can maybe link some of these in a post, because I'm not going to be doing a stream Saturday. I'm going to be traveling. So instead, I'm going to link a post, or I'm going to make a post on YouTube and link all the collabs I've been doing, because I did one with Buck Johnson as well. I did one with Meet the Blessed, and a lot of that stuff came out this week. So I want you guys to be able to see that content, because we had some really good conversations. I just did another collab last night. And so doing a lot of collabs, trying to drive traffic over to this brand new YouTube channel, which my subscribers are going up significantly. So thank you guys for that. And as always, looks like I'm already getting some super chats in. So thank you for that. As always, I will go over those at the end. And I set the goal just so you guys can more easily find the link. And then also my memberships. I think I'm at 31 members now. So I owe you guys members only streams at the end of my streams, like I promised. I'm just trying to figure out the technical aspect. As soon as I do, I'm going to make a promise to you that on Tuesday, I will do a members only live stream after my stream is done. So if you're interested in being a member, you can sign up and we will do a members only stream. And then of course, also I will send you any of my debate notes. So all these debates that I'm reacting to, if you're interested in my debate notes, truly he is risen. If you're interested in my debate notes, you can sign up to be a member, and I'll email them to you. And then I'll also follow you back on social media, things of that nature. Those are all the benefits that I offer for the members of my YouTube channel. Other than that, please like and subscribe. If you're not already subscribed to my channel, please do so. And please like the live. Let's get it out to the algorithm. Let's show people these Reddit tier arguments and how they hold up against an Orthodox Christian. Before I dive into the debate, I want to talk about this DM that I received that I really appreciated, because a dear brother reached out, and I'm not going to say who it was, but they reached out because they watched one of my episodes on the Jay Burden Show. As many of you guys know, there's been a lot of lies about me, a lot of misconceptions about what I believe, accusing me of things like ethnophilitism and things of that nature, racism, white supremacy, things that I have openly condemned, that are condemned by the church, like ethnophilitism, which those of you guys who don't know, so I guess I'll just cover the background real quick. So ethnophilitism is essentially the heresy of like gatekeeping the church based on ethnicity. So which is not what I'm advocating for by any stretch of the imagination, because I'm talking about national identity. First of all, no one is talking about turning away brown people at the church. That's obviously ridiculous. And so ethnophilitism is a heresy that was condemned by specifically 3 patriarchs. The Jerusalem Patriarchate actually attended this council in, I believe it was the 1800s. It was a Council of Constantinople, and it was the 19th century. And the Jerusalem Patriarchate actually did not sign the decree of this council condemning this heresy. So 3 patriarchates did affirm this as a heresy, and generally it's accepted in the modern church as being a heresy, although it's not universally and formally so. But basically the background of this council was the Bulgarians were trying to only appoint exclusively Bulgarian, like ethnically Bulgarian bishops. So what the council was called over, and you guys, like, you know, it's funny when I explain this, because people don't understand like what this heresy is, and it gets thrown around by these basically like moral fags, like trying to accuse someone who is a nationalist of this heresy, when in reality the context of this particular controversy was literally merely that the Bulgarians were trying to appoint only ethnic Bulgarian bishops, and the church was like, you can't do that. That's ethnophilitism, and so we condemn it as a heresy. So that was the context. So to try to associate that with what I'm advocating for in nationalism and, national identity and things of that nature is obviously just ridiculous. So anyways, So this dear brother said, forgive unsolicited DM. I just wanted to say I enjoyed your recent interviews on the Jay Burden Show, etc. I had some misgivings that you might be straying a little bit too close to ethnophilitism, but clearly that is not the case. Always remember that ethnicity is real and good. Christ's church transcends ethnicity. Amen. Our Orthodox Church here in Japan is filled with parishioners who are Russian, Japanese, Korean, Armenian, Syrian, Georgian, etc. Every week we recite the Lord's Prayer in all those languages. Keep up the good work, brother in Christ. And if you're ever in Japan, be sure to attend a Japanese liturgy. So I appreciated this DM because, this is somebody who maybe disagrees with some of my views on nationalism. And he was under the impression that I was teetering on ethnophilitism, but instead of assuming that wrongfully, he actually listened to my position, right? And he realized that I am not an ethnophilitist, that I'm not a heretic, that what I'm advocating for has nothing to do with ethnophilitism. So I really appreciate dear brothers like that. That's all I ask for is please listen to what I'm actually saying. Don't assume you know what I'm saying. Please actually listen to it. And then there was a ton of positive feedback. I would encourage you guys to go watch my interview with Buck Johnson that he just got released yesterday or 2 days ago. It was so good. I really had a good time with him. And I love Buck a lot. He's a great guy, and we had a great conversation about nationalism. We unpacked a lot of things about JQ and Israel and mass migration and things of that nature. So yeah, all that to say, please go give that a watch. And he said this. He said that one lady who is Episcopalian messaged him saying she loved it and is now exploring Orthodoxy because she's so anti-Zionist. So she loved the things I was saying about Israel, and she was like, hey, this sounds pretty legit. So she's Episcopalian, but she's now inquiring into Orthodoxy. So glory to God for that. So we're going to dive into this debate. This is like a comedy debate, to be honest with you guys. Like that's how this went. So we're gonna dive into it. It was a good time. It was on Modern Day Debate, and a lot of you guys haven't seen it, so this should be new for most of you. This is a good question. Am I against any kind of immigration or just illegal immigration? I am against all immigration right now. So in the West right now, because we have basically reached a 911 situation in the West where we legitimately have, our native population, the population that founded the nation, is dwindling by the day. We need to put a stop to all immigration right now, and we actually need to focus on remigration policies, which I've gone over in my. I encourage you to go watch my episode on mass migration. And so you can go and watch that because I cover the issues with legal immigration. I would actually argue that legal immigration right now is a bigger problem in the West than illegal immigration, primarily because of where the people are coming from for these legal migrants, because they're coming from places like Muslim countries, right, where we don't share really any common values. And so, yeah, I would encourage you to watch that episode because I cover this in full. But the short answer is I am against legal immigration right now. I'm not against legal immigration as a concept, but I do believe that right now we need to get things under control and we need to shut the border down. So that being said, let's dive into this debate. Like I said, this was a gentleman by the name of Craig, and he's a Brit, I believe. And he also debated Jim Bob and Andrew Wilson. So, and did not go well for him in any of those cases. So, without further ado, please like the live, folks, and subscribe if you're not already subscribed. And let's push this out to the algorithm.
For my intro, really. I'm Craig McNeil. You can find me on the YouTube channel FTFE, where I normally talk to flat earthers. But yeah, so I'm doing this today instead. Right, from the moment that humans learned to walk upright and stopped flinging their own feces at each other, some still haven't, flat earthers, we've been shackled by myth. And of all the myths that have haunted us, the big G in the sky, Old Testament Tyrant edition, has got to be one of the most creatively evil ones. Let's be real. If God were a human leader, he'd make Genghis Khan look like.
Just a heads up, guys. We get into the open dialogue pretty quick. So, like modern day debate, I think we had like 10-minute openings, so it's pretty quick.
UNICEF ambassador. This is a guy who, according to his own fan fiction, the Bible, flooded the planet because he was in a bad mood, turned a woman into a salt shaker for looking at an explosion, and sent bears to maul 42 kids for laughing at a bald man.
Beast.
A literal god-tier supervillain. Yet for thousands of years, humanity has been expected to kneel before this celestial dictator, handing over 10% of their income while being told they're worthless worms. I mean, talk about a cosmic scam. It's like a bad multi-level marketing scheme, but with eternal damnation instead of Tupperware.
It's like he's reading off of an actual Reddit, like a Reddit feed. Like that's what it sounds like he's doing. And by the way, Rachel, dear sister, welcome. Yes, also debated her and got his ass kicked by a woman. So what are you going to do, Craig?
Human history, societies run by religion were brutal, oppressive, and deeply allergic to progress. The Dark Ages, sponsored by Christianity. The witch trials, brought to you by religious hysteria. Slavery, fully endorsed in the Bible. God's apparently a fan of forced labor. Shocker.
Yet somehow, some way, right? Somehow, some way. Oh yeah, I can turn the audio up. Sorry. Let me see. Let me make sure I do that here. Yeah, somehow, some way, the God that supposedly endorses slavery, right, was able to produce the only societies in all of human history. Christian societies are the only societies in all of human history to be able to recognize the moral failure of particularly chattel slavery, which is also biblically condemned. I cover this later in the debate. But yeah, I mean, I should maybe do a full episode on slavery, on the history of slavery. And in fact, that's a great idea. I'm going to do a full episode. Did you guys know? Here's a little sneak peek into this full episode I'm going to do on this topic. Did you know that for 1,000 years, when we showed up to Africa, they had been running slave auctions. When the Europeans showed up to Africa, the Africans had been running slave auctions for 1,000 years before we got there. 1,000 years. And yet we're blamed for slavery. We're the ones that committed this moral atrocity, supposedly.
And let's not forget the Inquisition.
Let me know if that volume is better.
Bootlickers decided the best way to spread love was with hot pokers and the good old-fashioned execution. It wasn't until secular humanism started creeping in that things actually began to improve. Little things like science, human rights, not setting people on fire for saying the Earth orbits the sun. Because when humans stopped looking to Sky Daddy for all the answers and started using logic, reason, and actual evidence, suddenly we got medicine, democracy, and the concept of human dignity. Who knew, right? The biggest flex that secularism has over Christianity is that it works. Instead of basing morality on a 2,000-year-old book that says mixing fabrics is a sin, but selling your daughter is fine, secular ethics use reason, empathy, and evidence to determine right from wrong. Things that actually matter, like consent, well-being, and fairness. Not whether or not you eat shellfish, which, fun fact, is on God's do not eat list, but somehow...
He mentions consent. It's actually interesting. Those of you who didn't see my episode with Prax Band that I did on Tuesday, he actually covers how Tsar St. Nicholas's policy implemented age of consent and actually ahead of the West. So it was actually an Orthodox Christian society that implemented this before anyone else. It wasn't secular humanism.
Genocide isn't. Under secular governance, we saw the end of slavery, the rise of democracy, the birth of human rights, women finally being seen as people, and the scientific revolution that gave us medicine, electricity, and, crucially, memes, none of which came from prayer. Because here's a fun fact. Every major advancement in human rights has been opposed by religious institutions. Civil rights, fought against by religious conservatives. Women's rights, same story. Gay rights, the church still hasn't caught up, and it's 2025.
Well, as we've unpacked, civil rights, feminism, and gay, all of this is just anti-white, anti-Christian propaganda. Like as we covered with the history of the Voting Rights Act. Those of you who haven't seen that YouTube video, I covered that. And I want to watch Matt Walsh's video on this, on the civil rights movement. A lot of people don't know this, but the civil rights movement was actually a response to the Soviet empire, because the Soviets, particularly Stalin's propaganda campaign, was calling us like racist. And so this is just like, it's actually beyond parody, like how this actually happened. But the Stalin propaganda campaign was literally like calling us racist for like things like segregation and things of that nature. And so the civil rights movement was literally a response to Soviet propaganda. So, and then we've seen how these policies are not actually about equality. Like the Voting Rights Act in 1965, which allowed for racial gerrymandering, right? That literally was just anti-white because it artificially boosted black districts, black and Hispanic districts. And the Supreme Court finally deemed this unconstitutional because they're like, wait a minute, you can't district only on the basis of race and artificially boost black and Hispanic voters. You can't do that. You can't do that. That's unconstitutional. It's not equality. It's just anti-white. And so that's what we see about these movements are for the most part problematic. You know, maybe there was some good things in particularly the civil rights movement, but like fundamentally there was a lot of problems there.
Meanwhile, the only thing Christianity has given the world in the last 500 years is televangelists and scandals. Secular governments, they like ending slavery, promoting human rights, advancing science, and generally improving human well-being. But God, well, he invented hell, the concept of eternal torture for people who don't kiss his divine feet enough. That's not justice, that's narcissistic cosmic dictator with anger issues. If a human leader acted like God, they'd be hauled to the Hague for war crimes. But when God does it, oh, he works in mysterious ways. Mate, that's just a fancy way of saying we've no idea why our deity acts like a genocidal maniac asshole. The bottom line is this: secular humanism is about progress, freedom, treating people decently because it's the right thing to do, not because you're scared of a sky bully with a lightning fetish. It's the reason that we have democracy, vaccines, space travel, and a legal system that doesn't rely on stoning people to death working on a Sunday. Meanwhile, religion clings to the past, desperately trying to keep the world trapped in an era where bleeding people out was considered medical treatment. So when people ask whether Christianity or secular humanism is better for society, the answer is painfully obvious. One is responsible for everything good in the modern world, and the other is responsible for burning heretics, banning condoms, and guilt-tripping people into submission. If we want a future where people thrive, explore the stars, and actually fix the problems that we face, we need reason, evidence, and compassion, not old books, celestial dictators, and vague threats of hellfire. Humanity evolves, religion doesn't, and that's why secular humanism isn't just better than Christianity, it's the only reason we're not still living in the Dark Ages. Christianity's morality is based on obey or burn, which, let's be honest, is just divine North Korea. It's rule by fear, not ethics. Meanwhile, secular humanism says, don't be a dick because people matter. No hellfire required. Think about it. Would you rather base your morals on reason, empathy, and evidence, or on a book that thinks shellfish is worse than slavery? One gives us human rights, democracy, and Star Trek. The other gives us the Crusades, televangelists, and people who think the earth is 6,000 years old. It's not even a contest.
W people who think that the earth is 6,000 years old. W's in the chat for people who think the earth is 6,000 years old.
Secular ethics, because don't be a knob, is better than obey or burn. And that's all I've got.
Thank you very much for that opening, Craig. We are going to kick it over to Luigi for his opening as well. But before I do, quick housekeeping notes. First, folks, if it's your first time here at Modern Day Debate, I'm your host, Dr. James Coons, and Modern Day Debate is a fully neutral channel. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, as we have plenty debates coming up. With that, we're going to kick it over to Luigi for his opening statement as well. Thanks for being with us. The floor is all yours.
The topic of today's debate is one that philosophers have argued over for millennia.
You guys like that Greek background? Isn't that sick? Dude, I feel like heaven is going to look like Greece. I'm not going to lie. Like, Greece is like otherworldly. When my wife and I went to Greece, bro, like I literally what it was insane, especially Crete. I wish we had more time on Crete. Like, I felt like I was in another world. Like, I was in like some sci-fi like movie, like on a different planet or something. Like, it was insane. I can't even put words to how beautiful it was. Like, I literally think that like Greece is like as close to heaven as we get, like on this side of the planet, or on this side of heaven.
Ethical foundations. I will be asserting 4 arguments: 2 positive claims for the case of Christianity, and 2 negative contests against secular humanism. My first claim is that secular humanism cannot justify ethical foundations at all. This argument is best summarized by C.S. Lewis in his book, Miracles. Quote, "If the solar system was brought about by an accidental collision, then the appearance of organic life on this planet was also an accident, and the whole evolution of man was an accident too. If so, then all our thought processes are mere accidents, the accidental byproducts of the movement of atoms. But if our thoughts are merely accidental byproducts, why should we believe them to be true? I see no reason for believing that one accident should be able to give a correct account of all the other accidents." End quote. This argument can easily be extended to the conscience and thus ethics. If we are the result of an accidental process, why should we trust our own moral compass, let alone someone else's? My opponent frequently points to the opposition of harm as a guiding factor under the secular humanist framework. Yet, what is the justification for why harm is bad? It seems harm in many cases is actually good, as a child receiving a life-saving vaccine certainly perceives the needle poking into their skin to be harmful. So is harm acceptable if it results in a greater good? What if we are in the midst of a deadly pandemic, and the only way to save the masses is to perform dangerous medical experiments on a few victims unaware of the risks? Is this acceptable because there is less harm when it's all said and done? My opponent was left speechless on this point when asked by an audience member how we resolve these conflicting standards. Do we concur with Immanuel Kant, who says reason commands us to follow ethics that follow principles? Or do we rather side with John Stuart Mill, who says it's based on outcomes? As you can see, when the foundations of secular humanism get called into question, it becomes...
By the way, what I just referenced there is, so that was a debate. Jim Bob had a debate with Craig. And during the Q&A, someone asked him that direct question, and he didn't even know what either of those things were. So I included it. I think I bring it up in my cross exam against him. But like, he literally, like, this guy is debating ethics, and he doesn't even understand basic ethical foundations, or like even in his own paradigm, like even like philosophers that he would reference, you know, in the founding of secular humanism, he doesn't even know like what they actually believed about ethics.
Blatantly clear that it is built on the woeful ambiguity of human feelings, specifically the human feelings of whoever is in charge of a particular nation. Would you trust the fate of a moral dilemma to the personal feelings of a bunch of random secular humanist leaders? I certainly wouldn't. Which leads me to my second claim, that Christianity can justify its ethical foundation and ground its standards. Unlike a secular paradigm, in Christianity, we are not the result of an accidental process, but rather we're designed for the unique purpose of stewardship over this world. Man was created in God's image, and this is why we are granted a conscience, unlike any other creature in the animal kingdom. Jeremiah 31 and Romans 2 in the Holy Scripture.
So this is an interesting comment here that I want to talk about for a second, because this is true to an extent, right? So if you guys noticed, like everything he referenced, like it was like the Salem witch trials, it was the Crusades, it was things that like Orthodox Christians had nothing to do with. And so you can see that, like, yeah, now there was still remnants of orthodoxy in the West, which is really where you get the entire like moral fabric of things, right? And that's where you get like things like William Wilberforce and the eradication of chattel slavery. But the reality is that a lot of the problems that are quote unquote problems with Christianity that are referenced by these guys, these atheist Reddit's here guys, are problems with Western Christianity, not with Orthodoxy. And so you guys will see him kind of have to face this when I bring this up, of how he needs to deal with Orthodoxy specifically, because that's the position I'm representing.
Demonstrate through divine revelation that God has placed his laws on our hearts, which is therefore how we know we can trust our conscience. In addition, when moral dilemmas are presented, The Orthodox Church has a normative method to resolving them that has been granted infallibility by the protection of the Holy Spirit. You may ask, how can things possibly get worse for a secular humanist if they can't even justify ethical foundations? This leads me to my third claim, that secular humanism does not have the capacity to sustain a society at all. When asked in his debate with Andrew Wilson, my opponent made reference to Scandinavian nations as a good example of secular humanism. So I'll be using Sweden as a case study. A sustainable birth rate must maintain at a bare minimum 2 children per woman, 1 to replace each parent. According to Statistics Sweden, the nation in 2019 had a birth rate of 1.70. This is well below the sustainable rate. However, to make matters worse, as of 2024, it has plummeted down to 1.43 children per woman. How is Sweden compensating for these devastating numbers that will inevitably lead to the death of their nation? They are bringing in substantial numbers of migrants. 30 years ago, less than 1% of Sweden was made up of Muslims. Today, that number is roughly 10%. So my opponent's poster child of a secular humanist society is not only unsustainable in their birth rates, but they're now outsourcing to religious populations who will inevitably replace them. Eric Kaufman, who is a scholar of demographics and is himself a secularist, has this to say. One reason for the secular religious fertility gap is that religion's proto-natalist message contrasts with the culture of low fertility now prevalent in the secular individualistic West and secular materialistic East Asia. Once material circumstances free people to choose their fertility levels, values come to matter more in determining individual fertility. One of the most central injunctions of virtually all traditional religions is to strengthen the family, to encourage people to have children, to encourage women to stay home and raise children, and to forbid abortion, divorce, or anything that interferes with high rates of reproduction. End quote. My fourth claim is this, that Christianity has the birth rate capacity to sustain a society. Now, what I am not saying is that more babies you have, the better your societal model is. I am also not saying that sustainable birth rates make Christianity right.
So notice what I said there. So you guys have heard me talk more recently about it's problematic, like replacement birth rates aren't necessary. And I've made this point, but you do have to have a certain level of birth rate. And then also you need to have a justification for birth rates, right? You need to have a pronatal, like I point out, at a certain point to sustain a society, you are going to need some sort of pronatalist propaganda or, campaign, incentivized campaign. And that's what I'm about to cover because an Orthodox country was able to successfully do this. And so what I'm saying is I'm attacking the paradigm level, right? I'm not saying that you need a certain birth rate, right, to sustain because the reality is, like I've pointed out in the past, I do think it's a little bit of a psyop that that you constantly need to increase population. And notice I threw that caveat in there. But this particular debate, what I'm attacking is the notion that secular humanism has the capacity to sustain population at any level. So basically, I think they were just going to be they're just on a nosedive. Like secular humanist societies are on a nosedive, whereas like Christian societies are slightly below replacement, which is fine for a certain period of time. And then we'll look at this case study. You guys can kind of see how I unpack this.
What I am saying is at least we would have a society if everyone became Christian. Based on the above data, my opponent cannot say the same. Kaufman goes on in the same book to say, quote, secularism, even in small amounts, is associated with population stagnation or even decline absent substantial immigration, whereas highly religious countries have higher fertility rates that promote population growth, end quote. He even states, quote, if pious children simply assimilate into the secular mainstream, the radical effect of religious fertility quickly dissipates, end quote. Even an ounce of secularism decimates a society's chance at sustainable birth rates. Yet in Christianity, Adam and Eve were commanded prior to the fall of man to be fruitful and multiply. This means that God created us not only as stewards, but also as sustainers of earth through generation after generation. This explains why scholars like Kaufman have found that Christianity does indeed produce sustainability for future societies. One excellent case study of this is found in the Republic of Georgia in 2007. For decades, world leaders had thrown billions at collapsing birth rates, tax breaks, subsidies, paid leave, only to see birth rates continue falling. But in 2007, one simple initiative from a leader of the Orthodox Christian Church completely shifted the nation's trajectory. Patriarch Ilya II of Georgia stated that he would personally baptize every third child born to any family. This resulted in a shocking 42% spike in birth rate, substantially outpacing any government program. Marriage rates rose, abortions fell, and the Republic of Georgia sustained above replacement birth rates for nearly a decade. As is the case in many modern societies, Christianity saved the Republic of Georgia from the fate that Sweden is destined for. Now that I have demonstrated secular humanism cannot...
So notice how I point this out, how you need the Christian fabric, right? So I've pointed out that, hey, if populations start to decrease, you can incentivize population increase. Only if you have a Christian fabric. If you don't have a Christian fabric, those incentives actually don't work, as has been demonstrated in countries like Georgia. So you have to have, at a certain point, right? Like, so in America, if America's population ends up decreasing because of remigration and because of our current birth rates, that's fine as long as we maintain a Christian fabric, because then our birth rates will eventually recover, right? And we can sustain at a number of like 200 million or 250 million or something of that nature.
Only justify ethical foundations, nor sustain a society with its crumbling birth rates. I want to build on the positive case for Christianity beyond simply satisfying these basic two requirements. Not only can Christianity justify its ethical foundations and offer sustainable birth rates, but Christianity is simply better for almost every society that it touches. I want to point out this portion of my opening statement is supplemental to my previous four claims, and that even if it is false that Christianity is beneficial to society, my previous four claims would still sufficiently uphold Christianity as a superior ethical foundation over secular humanism. An excellent summary of the undeniable positive impact that Christianity has had on humanity comes from Phil Zuckerman, who is himself a secular humanist. He states, quote, religiously involved individuals also exhibit greater manifestations of prosociality than those who are not religiously involved. Several studies have found that religious people tend to be more charitable, more generous, and more likely to volunteer and donate blood than their secular peers are. Furthermore, a proliferation of religious devotion, faith in God, reliance on the Bible has historically been a determining factor in establishing schools for children, creating universities, building hospitals for the sick, and homes for the homeless, taking care of orphans and the elderly, resisting oppression, establishing law and order, and developing democracy, end quote. Again, this is a secular humanist scholar who is admitting this. Now, there are, of course, many exceptions to these general rules. There are bad Christians who do bad things, but this does not disprove Christian ethics any more than a bad doctor practicing medicine improperly disproves medical practice as a whole. Christianity, very similarly, is a medicine for a sick society, and Christ is our doctor. I will end with this quote from St. Ignatius of Antioch, who was eventually brutally martyred for the sake of his faith. Quote, there is one physician who is possessed both of flesh and spirit, both made and not made, God existing in flesh, true life in death, both of Mary and of God, first passible, then impassible. That is Jesus Christ, our Lord. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that opening. We are going to kick it into. Want to say a couple quick housekeeping things before we.
So did you notice how like his opening statement was like Reddit? He was basically reading off a Reddit forum, and my opening statement was like, actual, logical premises that follow, and like actual data and case studies. Like it's just this debate was like literally a comedy show, dude.
Do kick it into the next section. First, folks, if you happen to have questions, please fire them into the old live chat. If you tag me with @ModernDayDebate, that's one way to submit your question for the Q&A. Another way is via the super chat, as we push those questions to the top of the list for the Q&A. Also, we are very excited about a number of different things. But first, let me give you the format. We have 10-minute cross exams. So this is first where Craig will be cross-examining Luigi for 10 minutes straight. And then Luigi will get the chance to cross-examine Craig. So first, Craig, the floor is all yours for 10 minutes to interrogate our new guest, Luigi.
Hey, thank you very much. Appreciate that, Luigi. It's nice someone to actually come with a presentation and stuff. I apologize that I didn't this time because of my issues. Okay, so you started with saying that basically, how do we know what's moral if we're just a collection of atoms, and everything is just by an accident? Could you tell me why, even if we are, or why you think, even if we are just a collection of atoms and that's an accident, why that would be something that is incapable of then developing morals and ethics? You didn't really explain why that negates the possibility of morals and ethics becoming a thing.
It becomes completely reliant on just human inclination, which is the result of simply an accidental process that can't be trusted. So, like, I brought up several examples where, to a child, their inclination is that that needle is harming them, but it's a life-saving vaccine. So, should we trust our feelings or should we not trust our feelings?
Well, it's not just all about feelings, it's about what is going to help humanity thrive. And I could counter that with the fact that I go to the gym 5 days a week and it hurts me every single time. But I know it's for the
Absolutely no shot he goes to the gym 5 days a week. No, there is no way. And if he goes, he's going to like the sauna or something.
greater good of improving my overall fitness and health. And the secular humanism is about reducing overall harm. Yeah, vaccine might hurt because it stabs you, but it's going to give you a better chance to go on in the future and be better. But then when you're able to make your own decisions, you don't have to get a vaccine and no one's
We
going
have
to
to use a
force it.
code. We have to use a code word instead of that word that starts with a V.
Right.
We have to use serum.
Sorry,
Serum.
that was me who
Apologies.
brought it up. I'll take the bullet on that one.
No, you're right. My bad. I talk about I do try and forget saying that word. Yes. So all right. But then you made the you did the same thing that Andrew did when I spoke to him, and you said, well, what if we take someone and experiment on them to help everybody else? You do realize that goes against one of the tenets of secular humanism, which is about personal autonomy. So it would be something that secular humanists wouldn't do. We wouldn't take people prisoner to experiment on them.
Couldn't you make an argument that could be applied? Doesn't a child have personal autonomy to decide whether or not they want to receive a vaccine?
No, a child doesn't have the personal autonomy because they don't have the cognitive functions to have that personal autonomy. They don't know what is good or not for them. However, once an adult is an adult, they can make those decisions for themselves. As parents, we take on
There's so many contradictions here. So the child has a dependency relation to their parent when it comes to autonomy, right? And they're responsible for them, which is the same condition of a fetus. So, and he's obviously pro-choice. So like there's so many contradictions here.
responsibility of our children's health until they are capable of doing that themselves.
I
The child doesn't have the cognitive functions to decide if that is good or not.
I understand that there's an answer to it. What I'm saying is these are ambiguous answers that are a result of an accidental process. So what I'm trying to expose is how ambiguous it is.
But why is ambiguity a bad thing when there's so many people and so many things to consider? There's no one overreaching voice saying this is what you do. It is humanity getting together and seeing what has happened to us and what we can learn from that to then be better in the future.
But better is itself a value statement. That is itself a value statement. So like, what do you mean by better? Because you said
to be able to thrive more, to be able to to be able to be in a position where you can increase birth rates when it is appropriate, when there is enough resources and things like that. Secular humanism is about humanity thriving. And the thing that you put forward in your intro was about taking away that thriving ability and saying, well, that's also secular humanism because it goes against what religion says. You kind of miss the point of secular humanism being about making humanity, giving it the ability to thrive in the best way that it can without having to rely on one voice from a deity that possibly doesn't exist.
But I don't know what thrive means, because now you're saying that the experiments, that's actually against a tenet of secular humanism, but it would result in quote unquote thriving because it would save the masses from dying from this pandemic. So I don't know what you mean by thrive.
Well, that's why there's the tenets there. That's why there's the guidance of, yes, we want humanity to be able to advance and, people be, thrive, people be more happy, be more healthy. We all know what thrive means. We don't need to get bogged down in semantics of what words means. But we can't do that. We're taking
Everybody knows what it means to thrive. No, we don't. That's what we're trying to find out, dude. That's what we're trying to find out.
away people's personal autonomy, which is one of the tenets of secular humanism. So we can't do that. We're not going to try and say, oh, well, this could be better at the, that person's harm. Would take away that one person's autonomy to make sure everyone else is better. That goes against the tenets of secular humanism.
Okay, I mean, this is your cross-exam, so I don't want to push too much on these arguments. So,
right. Okay. So the other thing you went on to really was about the Christian, about birth rates, right? And here's the thing: no one's going to disagree that secular countries overall, the countries that are more secular, because there's no secular governments, there's no Christian governments, it's governments elected by people, whatever, or dictators. But the countries that are more secular do tend to have, at the moment, lower birth rates. Are you aware of any of the things that are in place to change that, is my question, because it's something that you and a lot of other Christians bring up as something against secular humanism. And although I can agree that that is the case, are you aware of the measures in place to try and change that?
well, there's currently, that's the issue, is that it's going down at an increasing rate. So from 2019 to 2024, it's gone from 1.70 to 1.43. So whatever we're doing isn't working.
Yeah, that's why there's more things in more recent times. Like if you look at secular countries like Japan and France, trying to put forward a 4-day week work, so the a 4-day week work, so that there's more time at home to
the fact that he tried to correct himself and he still said it wrong. By the way, he's about to lie about Japan.
Make babies. There's a lot of countries that are literally secular countries like Scandinavia and stuff that are now literally throwing money at parents to have more children because they have taken note that the birth rate has fallen, and even more significantly over more recent years. So the past 2 to 3 years since COVID has moved away, there's been a lot of work within a lot of the secular countries to try and increase the birth rate in natural ways by making more time for couples to be together, giving tax breaks to couples, saying that if you have more babies, we will give you more money to look after them, making childcare easier. So the fact that you keep going back to, not just you, but other Christians, you keep going back to the birth rate thing, it means that you haven't really looked into what is happening now in the secular countries.
Well, you brought up in your debate with Jim Bob that if a man wanted to leave his family, because that was what was going to make him happy, that under the secular humanist framework, there was nothing wrong with that. So if people are just having children because they like the idea of having a kid and not for the sake of future society, then that itself is problematic.
I didn't say that though.
Yeah, so in other words, what I'm saying is that I'm attacking the actual fabric, like the justification, like his justification contradicts, right, other things he's said about secular humanism. And by the way, like it's just not true that these incentives are working. Like in a secular society, like incentives to increase birth rates just don't really work. Like you have to have a Christian pro-natalist fabric, otherwise it just doesn't work.
My point was that secular countries are putting in place measures for couples to have more babies and to have more time for couples to be in place, and there is tax breaks for being married and having a family and allowing that to be a thing. But at the same time, secular humanists allow for things like adoption and non-standard families that deal with the people that don't want the babies, which studies show the majority of children that end up being orphaned actually come from Christian parents. So how do you feel about that?
That what studies say what? that they come from,
Studies show that more of the orphan children come from Christian or religious families.
What studies
Probably not per capita. I'd be curious to know if it's per capita or not.
say that?
Uh,
Studies in Canada?
I don't have my notes with me. I wanted to present a bunch of this, but I was reading a bunch of studies that show that adoption rates from non-standard families, like gay couples and stuff like that, the children that they're adopting, the children themselves came from Christian parents who then put the children up for adoption for whatever reason. And that seemed to be the higher amount of children up for adoption was from Christian or religious families.
I mean, I presented several quotes from secular scholars that say the opposite about Christians and their
secular scholars versus actual studies.
No, they're citing studies. They're citing studies in the quotes. They're talking about study. What's that?
When were these from?
These were from.
Because I'm citing like well. I wish I had my stuff with me instead of packing it away. But the things that I've been looking at are the recent years, the past 2 to 5 years. The majority of orphaned children come from religious families, and then picked up by non.
Yeah, I just looked it up. It's not per capita. In fact, we're underrepresented. Christian families are underrepresented in putting up their kids for adoption.
Religious and non-standard families. So
I don't think that's true. But regardless, like I pointed out at the end of my opening statement, like there's bad Christians who do bad things. So that doesn't disprove Christian ethics any more than a bad doctor disproves medical practice as a whole. So.
Okay, so the other one thing I wanted to ask you really was, do you agree that Christian ethics comes from God?
Yes. Yeah, I believe it comes from God, yes.
And this is the same God that, drowned the entire world when he was in a bad mood, right?
Well, that's not what occurred. There
was a flood that killed everyone because he didn't like something that happened, right?
I mean, do you realize how much time people had to repent? And how many opportunities God gave them to repent?
It doesn't matter. None of that matters.
It does matter.
Doesn't matter how much time people had to repent, whatever. The fact is that
it does matter.
Your God, which you are based
wrap up.
ethics on.
So we did run out of time on that first cross exam. We have to move in the next section.
Sorry, I didn't realize I was
We're gonna have 30 minutes open dialogue after this, Craig. So we're gonna have time to talk about some of this stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Kick into the 10 minutes where Luigi will now cross-examine Craig. Floor is all yours.
Okay, can you define harm?
Can I define harm?
Mm-hmm.
Harm is something that causes unhappiness, causes pain. I mean, again,
it's so funny, like how he's just making this stuff up on the fly. Did you see that? This is his whole paradigm. His whole paradigm is literally mitigating harm. And I just asked him to define it, and he's making up a definition on the fly. Like, he has not thought about any of this stuff.
The arguing semantics of words is irrelevant. We all know what harm means.
Arguing semantics of words.
You define harm as something different to me?
That's an ad populum fallacy to it. Yeah, actually, people do perceive harm differently. I mean, I already gave the example of the child. And I don't think you have a sufficient answer for... I mean, if the ultimate goal is thriving society, you can't have a thriving society if everyone's going to be wiped out by a pandemic. So you have to perform these experiments on these people. So that's an ambiguous standard. There's no standard there.
That's not true. We have other ways of surviving pandemics without performing experiments on people. So, I mean, you and Jim, Bob, and Andrew keep asking for the definition of simple words like harm. We all know what harm is. It's something
that's an ad populum fallacy. Do you realize that's a logical fallacy?
It doesn't matter if it's a fallacy.
It doesn't matter that it's a fallacy. I think someone put that one in the comments as his quote. And then at the beginning, I don't know if you guys saw, I think I cut it off because it was in his little opening monologue before he got into his opening statement. He said, "I'm a dumbass." And so someone put in the comments, "I'm a dumbass, Craig."
Fallacy. Well, right, it's when you do that, you're simply committing the fallacy. You're saying because I've said something that you consider to be fallacious, therefore the argument is incorrect.
Okay, abulum is not something I consider to be fallacious. It is a logical fallacy.
No. What I'm saying is you are considering what I've said to be fallacious, and therefore you are considering the argument incorrect, whereas that is in itself fallacious. Just because an argument may contain some fallacious bits, it does not mean the argument in itself is incorrect. So I would appreciate it if you allow me to finish my argument before you try to cut me off by claiming it.
What? If an argument includes some fallacious bits, it doesn't mean it's fallacious. What is he talking about?
Okay, we all know what harm means. We are all aware of what harm is. It's something that causes physical, emotional, psychological, social, or financial damage to you or a group. Simple. We all know what harm is and how to reduce harm. You don't stick your hand in a fire because that will reduce the harm. The getting down to the semantics of define harm doesn't get to the answer of what is better for an ethical foundation.
Is it not harming a prisoner to put them into a prison? Does that not remove their happiness?
Prisons are places of last resort, right? There always has to be a last resort. However, prisons are not a place to, at least in the UK, they are not a place designed for harm. Prisons are a place designed for rehabilitation. At least they should be until they became financial institutions across most of the Western world.
So do you not agree that
sticking somebody in a prison is not supposed to be causing that person harm? What it is supposed to be doing is reducing the harm that person could do to others and helping to rehabilitate that person so that they...
But it's still causing harm to that person. So he ambiguously is fine. So in the case of the experiments, right, he doesn't want to cause harm to these people, right? But then in the case of prison, it's okay to cause harm to these people. So does it violate the tenets or not? Does causing someone harm for the better of society, does it violate the tenets of secular humanism or not? It's basically ambiguous.
Can possibly thrive in the future.
Okay, but you said happiness. Okay, it's going to reduce a prisoner's happiness to put them into a prison. And it's in many ways it's violating their autonomy because you're taking them and you're putting them in a place they don't want to be. So in that case, it is acceptable to violate. Hang on a second. Is it then acceptable in some cases under secular humanism to violate bodily autonomy?
As a last resort to prevent harm to other people, but again, a prison is not.
Then it's not a tenet. It can be violated. So therefore it's not a tenet. Like that's how that works.
Not a place for harm. We're not putting someone there to harm them. They may not like it, but we are putting a prisoner in prison to rehabilitate them, which in the long run will actually make them a better person and reduce the harm that they have to themselves, reduce the mental health, the things that they suffer, reduce the problems that they have. They undergo therapy, they undergo training for a new job to become a beneficial and useful member of society. We don't put people in prison to harm them. We put people in prison to stop harm happening and to help that person become a useful member of society. It's an incorrect thing to say that
this is why the definitions of these words matter, because you just made all these exceptions for all the terminology used to define harm earlier. Yes, you did. It violates their autonomy to put them in a place they don't want to be.
Yeah, I didn't say harm.
Nobody can argue that.
You're mixing up things.
Okay, let me finish. Nobody would be able to argue that putting a prisoner in a prison is something that they want to happen. Okay, you are taking away their happiness. Therefore, you are harming them based on your own definition of harm. Do you see why the definitions of words matter and it's not just semantics?
Again, we all know what it means, though. But again, you are missing the point of what a prison is for. It is to rehabilitate someone and to stop harm happening. That person's autonomy will be returned to them once they are.
But you could say the same thing about the experiments that I was saying earlier. So you could give that same answer for the experiments.
Rehabilitated once they are able to use that autonomy, right?
The secular humanism
also has to defend other people. But you're completely missing the point of what a prison is for, And you're saying, well, you're also conflating the tenets of secular humanism with my definition of harm. I didn't say harm had anything to do with autonomy. I said one of the tenets of secular humanism is to protect individual autonomy.
I'm pointing out
Which he just said there's examples where you can violate it, therefore it's not a tenet.
that was that was the standard you gave for me for why the medical experiments were wrong. But now you're saying there are examples where we can in fact violate someone's autonomy, at least for a time period. So why couldn't we do the same for a highly dangerous medical experiment? We can give them their autonomy back after the experiment because it's for the good of society.
How do you know they're going to get their autonomy back after the experiment?
Maybe they will, maybe they won't. Just like a prison.
We're going to go down the fallacious route. You're taking us to the fallacy of ad insurdium, where you're taking a simple statement to the ridiculous extremes. We could push things with Christianity. With all the ridiculous things they've done, saying it's okay to do a lot of things like keep a slave and things like that, because Jesus said that the slave should do as they're told and things like that. So we can't use these ridiculous examples way out of the purviews of secular humanism. A prison isn't designed to harm people. A prison is designed to reduce harm overall and rehabilitate people.
Based on your definition of harm,
they gave up their right. They gave up their right.
Do you want to redefine what harm means?
The laws of the lands.
Okay. Do you want to redefine harm? Do you want? Okay.
No,
do you? Let's just go down the line.
I told you. You asked me a question.
Gentlemen, I hate to interrupt, but just because we hold on, just gentlemen, I have to interrupt just because we're not able to hear otherwise. Okay, take one deep breath.
Yeah. So you did ask me a
deep breath. Hold on. You didn't take a deep breath. Okay.
I did.
Craig,
okay.
relax.
Answer the question.
Yeah. Okay. Luigi, right. I need you to give Craig.
Okay. Sorry, I thought you finished. I apologize.
Luigi, I need you to give Craig a chance to finish answering. And then I promise we'll give you the next chance to ask your question. And then Craig, I just needed to be pithy so that Luigi can ask his next question.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the question was, do we want to change the definition of harm? No, I told you what my definition of harm is. Harm is any action, inaction, or condition that causes physical, emotional, psychological, social, or financial damage to an individual, group, or society. That is what harm is, and that is the definition that we're going to go with.
That's not what you said initially. You said happiness. So are you removing happiness from part of your definition of harm? When you take away happiness, is that no longer part of harm?
The words that I've just said, that is what we're going to go with.
Okay, so you're backtracking on the word happiness.
I would personally put happiness in there, but if you want a hard definition of harm, I have just given it to you. Would you like me to answer the question again, or are you going to keep
read the definition off the screen one more time?
So you do want me to answer the question?
Read the definition. Read the definition. You changed it from happiness. Now I want to hear the new definition.
There's not a new definition. It is just a definition.
I'm moving on to a different question because this is the audience has seen what they needed to see from you. Okay,
I answered the question
in your debate with Jim Bob.
And then I answered.
In your debate,
this isn't a debate of Jim Bob. This is
move on, please.
I do want to give Luigi a chance to ask his question.
Okay. In your debate with Jim Bob, you said if Christians want to vote for Christians in office who implement Christian laws, they cannot. Do you still agree with this, or do you want to backtrack from that too?
I didn't say that at all.
You did. Everybody can go watch with Jim Bob. He said that if Christians vote,
anyone can be voted.
Okay, so you.
I should have dug up that clip from it when he said it in his debate with Jim Bob. He did say it in his debate with Jim Bob.
From that too. So wait a minute. So
I probably said that they shouldn't. Would you like me to answer, or no? I probably said they shouldn't. I didn't say that they couldn't because they voted in and put in whatever laws they want.
You did say
I can't decide what laws are put in.
You did say no. You did say in Christian. Okay, let me make sure I'm making the question really specific. I'm saying those Christian bureaucrats, can they implement Christian laws if they are elected by Christian people?
If they are in a position to change laws and that everyone votes on, then yes, they can.
Okay, then you definitely didn't say. You said no in the debate with Jim Bob, but I appreciate you
You
backtracking
probably
on that.
misunderstood what I said. You probably misunderstood
Well,
because
I'll go get the
nobody,
clip.
nobody can decide what laws are made apart from the people in the position to do that. And if the people in the position that are voted in that position happen to be Christian and put a bunch of Christian values in their laws, and then that's ratified by whatever process, then that can happen and nobody can stop that. I never.
This is a huge problem with their paradigm, by the way, because, okay, so effectively Christians could vote their way out of democracy if they wanted. Like if the Christian population wanted to vote in a monarch, right, and eliminate democracy as a system, what is he going to say? Why would they not be able to do that if that was what he was elected? If it was elected that there would be a monarchy and no longer a democracy. So this is the problem with this sort of like democracy at all costs, paradigm that he has.
Said that no, that can't happen.
We are at the end of the cross exam where Luigi's asking questions. We're going to jump into the open dialogue. Gentlemen, the floor is all yours for open dialogue.
I'd love to go back to just the base of this is about a foundation for ethics, and the foundation for ethics on your side, Luigi, is God. And God is, if real, not a very nice deity. Like
By your standard.
Let's be honest about it. Like
By whose standard? By whose standard? Because
by
God
any
is by nature,
person's standard.
God is no by any person. God is by nature good. So anything that he does is good.
I would disagree with that. I would very much disagree with the assumption that God by his nature is good, because God has, on a whim, wiped out humanity, sent people to pillage and rape and destroy other people, told somebody to sacrifice his own son.
That's incorrect.
No, it's not.
What are you even referring to?
Thanks for the super chats, guys. I'll go over all of them at the end. And then please like and subscribe. Please like the live. If you're watching back the recording, you can also sign up for memberships, as I'll be doing member-only live streams, as well as you can have access to my debate notes for this debate and all the debates I've done. Please like and subscribe if you don't already. And then thank you for the super chats. I'll go over them at the end.
What are you even referring to?
I mean, I'm trying to say a bunch of stuff that happened in the Old Testament.
They did not. They were not told to rape and pillage.
God told somebody to murder their own son as a test of faith.
Did he, or did God provide? Do you understand the story of that? It's foretelling of Christ.
Did God tell somebody
to
murder their own son? Hold on. The question is, did God tell somebody to murder their own son? Yes or no?
That's, oh my goodness. Do you understand that?
Yes
that
or no question?
It is a foretelling of
yes
Christ.
Or no question. Luigi, I would like you to answer a simple yes or no question. Did God tell?
What I'm trying to explain to him is that the story is typology for Christ. And so he's used to debating like these Protestants who are going to like try to deal with this objection without understanding the typology of the entire story, right? In the Orthodox Church, we understand the typology. We know this is about Christ.
Somebody to murder their own son, yes or no?
As a type of Christ who would eventually, God himself who would be sacrificed for us, as a type of that, yes. It is literally
yes, God. So what you're saying is yes. God told somebody to murder their own son.
As a type
did
of
God
God's
wipe
son,
out all of humanity
as
because
a
he
type,
like what's happening?
We can't have both people talking at the same time.
Yeah, I finished the question. He was still answering the last one. So the answer is yes, God told somebody to kill their own son. Second question, did God wipe out most of humanity because he didn't like what was happening?
Okay, I'm not giving. These are literally complicated questions that can't just be answered yes or no.
Not really complicated questions.
I have to be able to expand.
We have to give him a chance to answer.
I have to be able to expand on the answer than just yes or no. I already said yes, and because God's nature is good, if he had not done that, then it would have been not good. And again, he had all those years for those people to repent, and they did not.
So basically, what I'm pointing out is that it's Craig's ambiguous standard for morality versus God's divine, unchanging nature. That's what I'm pointing out.
So because they didn't do what God said, God was out to kill them.
By what standard are you even saying it's wrong? Can you actually tell me by what standard you're saying it's wrong?
I'll tell you what. I murder and rape as much as I want.
Are you God?
How much that is?
Are you the author of life?
Yes, I am actually.
You're the author of life.
Yeah, in about 50 years, I invent a time machine. I go back in time and I start the Big Bang and create all life in the universe as I like. Can
This
you
is like so
disprove that?
Are you
blasphemous. I have to
omnipotent?
like.
Yes. Can you disprove this?
You're omnipotent.
Yes.
Okay, then I don't know. Give me a cheeseburger right now. I want a cheeseburger since you're omnipotent.
No, you don't deserve it.
I don't deserve my cheeseburger? Why not?
No, absolutely not. See, this
Okay,
is the
this is
thing.
ridiculous.
You just said God by its nature is good. I dispute that fact because a
By
good
what
person
standard? By
does-
what standard?
Well, I was about to say by what standard? By
Okay.
the standard that wiping out all of humanity because you don't like what they are doing is not good.
So do you realize what humanity was doing? Practicing cannibalism, rape, all the things. Here's what's funny about this. You complain about all the evil in the world, and then when God
made by God.
when God wipes out all the evil in the world, then you complain that God wiped out all the evil in the world.
Was everyone evil? Was everybody in the world?
Yes. Every single
An
person.
innocent child
I
being
found the
born
clip
was
from
not
earlier,
evil.
so I'm gonna pull it up.
Okay.
Not every person in the world was evil, right? And here's the thing: your God
Yes, every
planned
person was
that
evil.
to happen because your God is the one that created everything and knew everything that was going to happen. So your God knew that the result of Eve eating that apple would be that lots of people in the world were evil and would not repent. Your God knew that would happen, so your God knew that he would have to wipe out all of humanity.
So this is what he claims he did not say. Let's see here, the timestamp.
Over the government and
stop Christianity coming in. We allow you to believe whatever religion you want. We would only use force to defend ourselves against someone trying to destroy us. That is not the same as a Christian nation going, you can't come here and we'll kill you if you try to. That's an entirely different thing. And what you've done there is dug yourself a hole by showing how Christianity doesn't care about society as a whole.
a bunch of Christians move into a secular society, and by population, by increased population, by multiplying, and by taking seats in office, do you have any problem with them taking over the government and informing law based on majority?
Oh, absolutely. Religion should never be Yeah, I'm about to explain, Jim Bob. Once again, when I'm in the middle of a sentence, I got three words out there.
There's a lag, dude. There's an audio lag.
Okay,
It's what he just said
Take
he
it easy,
didn't
little
say.
guy. Take it easy.
Yeah, but Jim Bob, you need to be calm. And when you ask me a question, allow me to respond without interjecting. Okay? You ask a question,
There's a
let
lag.
the person
All right. To be
respond.
fair, that he
It doesn't
wasn't.
matter if they're back.
He wasn't talking.
Okay, I think they yapped for a while, but you saw what he just said. He just said. So I asked him if that very question about Christians going into a society and voting in Christian people to enforce Christian laws, and he just said they can do that, but in his debate with Jim Bob, he said they can't. So he literally lied about what he said. Sounds like Jim Bob is checking out my stream. That's cool. Hey, Jim Bob.
You got, in fact, planned for people to become
Foreknowledge is
evil
not causation.
and then get wiped out, meaning that your God planned to
I'm
kill
still
all
waiting on a
humanity,
standard.
no matter
I'm
what.
still waiting on a
So-
standard for why any of this is bad. I'm still waiting on a standard. You just keep asserting.
So
it's
are
bad.
you saying that wiping out people isn't bad? Are
I'm
you
not.
saying
I am
not
asking
bad?
you. I'm asking
no,
you a
okay.
very.
My standard is that I think genocide is bad. Do you think genocide is bad?
By what standard are you saying that? Just your opinion? Lots of people
Yes.
have.
My opinion is genocide is bad. What is your opinion on genocide?
Oh my goodness. By what
Do you think
standard?
genocide is bad or not?
By what standard? And how are you even defining genocide? By what
Do you think
standard?
well, the entire everyone in the humanity was wiped out.
Notice how you don't answer the question. You just say it's my
I
opinion.
just did. I
Why
just
should we
answered
listen to
the
you?
question, Luigi. Did you
Why
not hear
should
the
we listen
came
to
out of my
you?
mouth?
Greg, can you tell me why we should listen to you? Why should we listen to your opinion?
Because I don't want to genocide people. Because I never murdered anyone, unlike your God.
Okay. You've never done it. It's wrong. What kind of logic is that?
Yeah. Well, here's like I said earlier.
I've never done it, so it's wrong. Like, what are we talking about here, bro?
I murder as much as I want. Whenever I feel like it, Luigi, I go out and murder.
Okay.
But I don't. Right? I don't. because I don't want to murder, because I know that is a bad thing to do. I do not need the threat of hellfire and instructions from somebody that doesn't exist to know that murdering is bad.
This is actually a great point. What do you think that like pretty much everybody knows that murder is wrong?
Yes.
Okay. Where does that come from?
That by causing harm to people, knowing that taking away people's
causing
pain and suffering to someone is bad. It is bad. Are
but
you really
suffering is
trying
okay.
to, wait, one second, Luigi, 1 second. Are you really trying to say, oh, we don't know if murder is good or bad?
No,
but there has to be somebody to tell us if that is good or bad. Is that what you're doing?
In my opening statement, I gave, through divine revelation, we know that God's laws have been written on our hearts. That's why we generally agree on the basic standards of morality. You, on the other hand, cannot give an account for where that comes from, why that's even here.
Yes, I can.
How?
Absolutely, I can. Evolution.
Yeah, no, based on the experiments earlier, the case studies, your evolutionary process is actually not sufficient for having a prosperous society. Or you can't even tell me what a prosperous
I'm sorry, but that's
society is.
completely incorrect. Evolution, part of evolution is having a prosperous
It's
society.
secular humanism.
Wait, hold on. I'm answering the question. Evolution is about the surviving through the harshness of your environments. And having a prosperous society is one of the things that helps us evolve through the harshness of our society. So evolution is where society comes from.
Okay, if having a prosperous society, even if I grant you whatever prosperous means, let's say I just don't press you on that. We've already established. Do you need a dictionary? Hang on a second. We've already established.
I can send you a link to dictionary.com.
I do want to give Luigi a chance to finish that sentence.
Go
ahead, Luigi, finish that sentence.
If secular humanism is the peak of human evolution, then it's going to wipe us out based on the data right now of the birth rates. So even if I granted all that, even if I granted every single one of those points, even if I said, you're right, Craig, which you're not, it would mean that the peak, hang on a second. It would mean that in the peak of humanity, we're going to wipe ourselves out and be replaced by Muslims in the West. That's what it would mean, because that's what's happening.
By the way, when I made this point, someone was like, oh, what is this Nazi great replacement conspiracy theory, bro? You brought a Nazi on the channel?
Your poster child countries in Scandinavia.
Okay, so I guess you didn't listen to what I said earlier about how the countries that have realized that their birth rates are falling have put in place measures for that to stop. And
they're not working. They're not working, Craig. That's the whole point.
The studies show that thanks to the measures, they expect the birth rate in all of these countries to increase, especially in France and Scandinavia and many other secular countries.
The only birth rates that are going up are the Muslims that are coming here and having like 40 babies, okay? None of the local population's birth rates are going up because of these incentives. They're just paying these migrants more money. That's all that's happening with these incentives.
The studies, again, I don't have anything with me.
There's no studies that show that. the data is
right. Okay, I can
talk to you about. Have these not been
right?
Okay.
What do you want me to answer it? If you give me 1 sec, because I did have some of my notes here with me. Right. So. Secular nations are rolling out the red carpet for parents with cold hard cash. Hungary, for example, gone all in with tax breaks.
Someone said, this is ridiculous, so I got to pull this up. Christianity created the modern world that is destroying these nations. What are you talking about? Genuinely, like, what could you possibly be referring to? Like, this is all downstream from things like the French Revolution, things that were grounded in secularism, right? The so-called Enlightenment. That was the downfall of Western civilization. So not Christianity. Christianity allowed it to prosper for hundreds and hundreds of years. So
loan forgiveness, and even straight up cash bonuses for families to have multiple children. Nothing to do with religion there. A way to increase.
Where's the data showing it's, where's the data showing it's succeeding? And is Hungary?
It hasn't happened yet. Studies show that the studies show that when these things are put in place, like in previous years, it increases birth rates. Having tax breaks for couples, reducing the work week and things like that actually allows for increased birth rates. Those are the studies I'm talking about. But I can link you to the articles that these come from because I at least have those available. So parental leave policies, countries like Germany and Sweden are champions of parental leave, aiming to increase the amount of paid time off for parents have to allow them to have more children.
And he referenced Hungary, where like Christianity is still very much like the fabric of that nation. Like it still makes up almost half of the nation. So
this expects the birth rate to increase because parents are more likely to have time off whilst being still paid. Japan's metropolitan government is implementing the 4-day work week to specifically increase family time and increase the birth rate. This is expected by 2030 to
calling the Enlightenment and French Revolution Christian in essence is absolutely insane. The French Revolution, its entire goal was to overthrow a Christian monarch. What are you talking about? People just be saying stuff, dude. People are just saying stuff. By the way, I'm reacting to the comments. My goodness. Like, people just say things.
Bring the birth rate back well above the 2.0 limit. So there is many things.
No data.
Country.
There's absolutely no data.
Did you not hear the data is to come once they see what happened, right? What secular humanists do is they will look at what's happening and then try to find a way to fix it. Yes, we've noticed that there's a lack in birth rates. We know that's a problem. We agree. Nobody's saying that that's not a thing. But what we are doing as secular humanists and secular nations is putting in place measures to hopefully increase the birth rate. And what we can do is we can look in a few years' time and go, has the birth rate increased as much as the studies thought that they would? No. Well, let's tweak some things, give some more time off, give some more cash breaks, and then see what happens again. We don't expect an immediate fix. We don't expect within the next 5 years there to be 1 billion more babies. We expect the birth rate to slowly increase to the point it is without having to rely on a magical deity that says murdering the entire world because it's in a bad mood is okay.
It's a non sequitur, has nothing to do with what we're talking about. But
absolutely does have everything to do with
it's basically already too late for Sweden anyway. They're so far below and that's by the way,
not too late.
That's including all the Muslims that are there. All the Muslims that are having babies. So that
what evidence do you have it's too late? You've just made a very big claim there. Evidence do you have that it's too late for Sweden because they're
you realize 1.43 versus 2. Really, it's 2.1 is what you need. 2.1 to replace each one of the parents.
0.01.
2.1. 2.1 is it. Actually, a lot of sociologists say 2.5. But whatever, it doesn't matter. 1.43, including all the Muslims that are now 10% of the population, they're having all these babies. So they're already, I mean, like I said, in 30 years, they've gone from 1% Muslim to 10% Muslim. So by the time 2030 comes around, they're going to be 15, 20% Muslim. So it's already too late. They're already being replaced. Second, the peak of human development, secular humanism is already being replaced by religious populations.
Okay. It's like you're not hearing the words that I'm saying. And you just made a massive claim that it's too late when it's not, when the Scandinavian government disagree with you.
Well, of course, they're going to say they disagree.
The Scandinavian governments, all the Scandinavian countries, have literally put in place measures to increase birth rates. That doesn't involve just bringing in a bunch of religious people.
Just put the call-in link in the chat if anyone's interested in coming up and having a conversation about nationalism, Israel, or immigration, particularly Muslim immigration, and whether it's compatible with the West. You can call in and we can have a conversation. But we're going to keep reacting to this debate for now.
They've done that.
It's too late. It's false.
They've done that in Japan and it didn't work. They've done that in Japan. And
it is working in Japan. It actually is working in Japan. I just read to you earlier what Japan's doing and how it is working in Japan.
Where's the data that says that it's working in Japan?
I can link you the article from the Times. It's actually what I've got a lot of this from. They've been studying, and the birth rate.
I know I've referenced Japan in a positive light because they're so nationalist. That's one of the problems that these other countries lack, actually, is they have no nationalism whatsoever. I do think that Japan is going to run into a problem if they're not Christianized. I do think they are going to run into an inherent problem with this because, yes, they're resolving the issue of replacements, but they're not addressing the birth rates at all, really. And they're not having success. I don't know where he thinks that. So I do think they are going to run into a problem at a certain point.
In Japan has actually been going up in the past few years compared to what it was.
Probably because of increased immigration.
No, actually, it's not. It's because of the initiatives put in place to increase birth rates.
They're mitigating immigration now, but at the time, if there is such a study that he's referencing, it definitely was because of immigration, which they're now mitigating.
That's the thing. There's a low birth rate. There's a low birth rate, and it's because of secular humanism. Well, maybe it is because of the influence of secular humanism, but they've noticed there's a problem, and we've noticed that might not help humans flourish as much as we want, and they are doing things to make it better. So attacking a point that is in the process of being improved is a ridiculous way to go.
Again, there's no data to support it. This is all tentative. He's just asserting things. Of course, the nations are going to make efforts to try to stop their inevitable demise. Of course, the nations are going to try
inevitable
to
demise. Can you please prove that that's an inevitable demise? Because you keep making the claims that
yes,
it's gonna happen.
You need to have at least 2 babies per woman.
As we established earlier, I'm the only one that has the powers to time travel.
It is currently decreasing at an increasing rate. Last year it was 1.45. It's down to 1.43. It's still decreasing. It's still decreasing.
And next year it might go up because they have put in place things to happen, right? Here's the thing, having babies takes time.
Yeah,
it doesn't just take 9 months because a lot of people won't get pregnant in 9 months. All right. Sometimes it can take years for couples to have babies, but the things that have been put in place have been put in place. There is more time off for parents. There is more paid paternity leave for parents. There is more help, more tax breaks. There is more reasons for people to have babies, and that is what they are doing. We have to look again in 5 years.
This guy calling me a globalist, you're welcome to call in. I just put the call-in link. You're welcome to call in and have a conversation with me about my paradigm regarding nationalism and particularly Christianity and nationalism. You're welcome to call in and have a conversation if you want to call me a globalist. Let's see how that holds up when we talk.
To look again in 5 years, once these things that have been put in place have been tested to see, right, has the birth rate increased? Do we need to do other things? Is there anything else we can do to help increase the birth rate that doesn't involve bringing in religious zealots?
Even if all of this starts to bring the birth rates up, you said in your debate with Jim Bob that if a man wants to leave his family, as a secular humanist, you have no leg to stand on to tell him that he shouldn't do that because it's going to make him happy to leave his family. Do you still stand by that?
Did you know, yeah, no one can stop a man doing what he wants, but did you know that the highest rate of divorce is actually in Christian families?
That's not true. And it's especially not true.
100%.
Again, he probably thinks the most amount of divorces are from Christian families or something like that. And again, it doesn't take into account per capita because it's total nonsense. And also, there's been studies on this that show active Christians, so Christian couples who pray every day, their divorce rate is under 1%. It's like a fraction of 1% if they pray together every day. So active Christians do not get divorced.
True.
It's especially not true. Hang on a second. There's a difference between being nominally Christian and actually being Christian.
Oh, no. We don't get to do the no true Scotsman fallacy.
It's not no true Scotsman. It's not no true Scotsman because, hang on a second.
You're here to defend Christians.
Hang on a second.
That includes Christians in Africa. Hold on. That includes the Christians in Africa.
I do need to... All right, just need to reset it here, just so that people want to be able to hear you guys, but if they're talking over each other, they won't be able to hear either of you.
Yeah. I want to point out that it's not a no true Scotsman. Hang on a second. It's not a no true Scotsman. Oh my gosh.
Notice how our buddy is silent in the comments now after I told him to come up and talk. Oh yeah, so now you're yapping again. Come up and talk, dude.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. I think
my sentence is thank you.
Right. So if it's on the no true Scotsman statement, if you want to wrap that up. But otherwise, if if you say he used that
Yeah.
fallacy and he wants to address it before you move to a new point, then I want to go to Luigi.
Yeah, no, my point is that you're not here to just defend one bit. You're here to defend every single Christian in the world. That includes the Christians in Africa.
Is this about the
that
no true
use,
Scotsman fallacy?
Yeah, yes, that is. Yeah, you say it's because
So if someone calls
it's
wait a
only
minute.
mine.
So
It's every single Christian in the world,
Wait a minute.
regardless of the denomination, is who
Okay.
you are here to defend.
So by this logic, if you call yourself a secular humanist, but you don't subscribe to any of the tenets of secular humanism, then by Craig's standard, he has to defend that person based on what he just said. Because he said, if you
What?
call yourself a Christian, but you don't subscribe to Christian values, then I still have to defend that person. The reason why it's not a no true Scotsman fallacy, yet
That's not what I said.
that is what you just said.
That is
Well, okay.
literally what he just said. That is verbatim what he just said, bro. Like, what are you talking about?
Then
Oh,
say
you
it again.
understood completely what I said.
Okay, go ahead.
I've said,
Try again.
I've said you don't get to pick and choose which version of Christianity you're here
It's
to
not
defend. You
version.
have to defend all of them.
I'm not defending a version of Christianity. I'm defending Christianity. If you call yourself a Christian, but you do things that are not Christian, then you're not a Christian. Just like if you call yourself hang on a second, just like if you call yourself a secular humanist, but you don't subscribe to secular humanism, you're not a secular humanist. Okay,
But
it's
there is
not, and hang
sects
on a
of
second, let me finish.
Christianity that
Let me
disagree
finish.
with each other about what
Let me
Christianity
finish.
is.
Let me finish. The same studies that talk about Christian divorces, which when we're talking about nominal Christians, yes, it is about on par with the rest of the world. However, the same studies show that the couples who pray together every single day, their divorce rate is less than 1%. Less than 1% for the couples that actually practice Christianity. Less than 1%.
But overall, Christians have a higher rate of divorce.
That's, first of all, that's not true. And second of all,
Absolutely is. It's 100% true. You can't deny this. This is a fact. The highest rate of Christian divorces comes from Christians. That's a fact.
it's not a fact.
Especially
fact,
in
and
America.
even if it was-
100% a fact.
It's not a fact. And again,
Right, and
like,
what do you mean by nominal Christians? Could you
Do
just
I need to-
define?
Yeah,
Christians?
people who say they're Christians who don't follow any Christian values. They don't.
Right.
They don't.
There's
they
a
don't
bunch
believe-
of different sects that say different things about Christian values. So
That's
you might
not-
think Christian values are different to a different sect of Christianity that thinks different
No,
Christian
the
values.
definition of a Christian has been the same for roughly about 1,600 years at the Council of Constantinople in 381 when we established the Nicene Creed that every single Christian subscribed to. If you do not subscribe to that, then you are not a Christian.
No, there's many Christian sects that don't subscribe to Nicene Creed.
That's
That
not-
Okay, so I'm going to address this because this guy's being a pansy and doesn't want to come up. There's nothing to debate. I stated a fact. Globalism isn't just about physical demographics. If you want to spread your foreign culture, religion, or values, you're a globalist. Actually, we Christianize cultures. So it's not foreign. It's not foreign because actually in Orthodoxy, we have these things called jurisdictions where there's actually cultural traditions. So Serbian Orthodoxy includes Serbian traditions. Russian Orthodoxy includes Russian traditions. So Japanese Orthodoxy would include Japanese traditions. So it's not foreign. It's Christianizing the culture that already exists, right? So are you a globalist by telling a Native American tribe that they can't sacrifice humans? Well, it's just part of their culture. Are you a globalist for telling them they can't do that? Obviously not. Obviously not. But you can Christianize aspects of their culture. You can bring something that is beneficial to their culture so they stop doing atrocious things like sacrificing babies, right? That's not you being a globalist, right? That's actually you bringing civilization to a people that didn't previously have it. And you can still have those cultural aspects.
with that
okay,
council.
I didn't say
That council
Nicaea
did not
I didn't
include
say
all
Nicaea
Christians.
II. I said Constantinople in 381.
And then you
not
said the
Nicaea.
Nicene Creed.
No, okay. There are no Christians who don't. If you do not subscribe to the Nicene Creed, you are not a Christian.
There is Christians that disagree.
They're not
with you.
Christians. They're not Christians,
According
Craig.
to, according to
They're not
you.
Christians. According to
you,
historical
they think they're
Christianity.
Christians.
According
They
to
think they're
historical
Christians, though.
Christianity, they're not Christians.
But they think they're Christians, so you don't get to say
great.
that.
I do want to get us off this topic just because it kind of feels like we have more material to cover and we've already spent a good amount of time on this. Is there another topic that you guys would like to address? We only have about 9 minutes left during the open dialogue.
How much time do we have left?
We only have about 9 minutes left before we wrap up the open dialogue.
I want to go back to understanding Craig's standard for why he's calling God a moral monster. I want him to give me an actual, other than just like, so far all we've gotten is that
because he's killed a bunch of people, murdered a bunch of people, said it's okay to murder.
Bringing this, so now we got a new guy. What is up with all these like trolls in here? Bringing civilization is the worst form of globalism, bro. So again, by this logic, the worst form of globalism is telling a tribe in Latin America that they can't sacrifice babies on an altar. That is the worst form of globalism, supposedly. Do you guys hear yourselves? Do you guys actually hear yourselves?
Still haven't. That's not answering the objection, Craig. What is the reason?
Because
why
that is bad. Murder is bad. Genocide is bad.
Is it bad? Is it bad when a tiger feeds on its prey? Is that bad? What's that? An animal? No, I'm asking you if that's bad. I'm trying to nail down your standard, Craig. I'm trying
to. An animal acting on instinct.
I'm trying to nail down.
So we're steering into it now. The guy said yes, that's correct. So this is the insanity, guys. I don't know what ideology this guy represents, but like this is the insanity, right? That this leads you to, right? Saying that you can't bring Christianity to a foreign country, right? Well, again, by this same logic, then you also can't tell native tribes to stop sacrificing people. So
on your standards, Craig.
My standard is very simple. Murder and genocide is bad.
All right, gentlemen, if we have everybody speaking at once, people aren't able to hear either of your points.
Yeah.
Craig, I'm trying to
make it very simple
standards.
for you.
Okay.
Luigi,
I'm just going to kick it over. What was the question that you asked Luigi?
No, he was asking me a question.
I asked him, is it wrong?
What was the question he asked? Yes.
I asked him if it was wrong for a tiger to feed on his prey, and then he ran from the question to say, I'm calling God an animal. I'm asking him his standard of morality.
Let's give him 30 seconds to answer it. And then if he doesn't answer it within that 30 seconds, at the end of it, you can say, hey, here's why you didn't answer it. But I do need to give him 30 seconds uninterrupted.
Go ahead.
An animal eating its prey is just nature. It's what happens. There's nothing wrong with it. But God has according to you, the ability to choose to do things, and God chose to murder everyone, even though he could not.
Do you see how he blew past that? It's just in its nature. There's plenty of things that are in a human's nature that we refrain from doing. So, like, for example, if I'm in a meeting, right? If I'm in a meeting at work and I get hungry, it's in my nature to just get up and go get a snack in the middle of the meeting. Right? But I know because of my conscience and because of my cognitive abilities that God has granted me, I have the ability to actually sacrifice my nature in that moment, right? And not submit to my nature. And there's plenty of much more egregious examples that I'm not going to give that you can probably imagine. So he just blew past it. He blew past it, the question about the animal, right? That's feeding on its prey, and why that's wrong, why that's okay, but a human doing the same thing or something egregious, right? That's within their nature. Why is that not okay?
God chose genocide. God chose murder. And you think that is a place for a basis, a foundation for ethics from a evil deity that murders and causes and does genocide?
No, God did not
murder. Genocide is bad.
God did not murder. God did not murder. Again, atheists love to complain about God not taking care of evil in the world, and then when God wipes out the evil in the world, then they start complaining. Now, he said the answer to my question, he didn't actually answer. He said, "Oh, it's just nature."
I absolutely did answer. I said, "Yeah."
Hang on a second, Craig.
Don't lie about me.
All right, Craig. I know that you think that you did answer, and I'm not saying that you're not correct, but I am saying that we give you 30
Correctly
seconds,
answered.
and so now he's gonna say what
Just
he
like-
thinks.
Yeah,
and
so I made a comment about the lighting situation. Sorry guys. This was before I had my studio set up like I do now, and I was literally just debating from my little MacBook in my kitchen back in Southern California. So cut me some slack.
we have to give him 30 seconds too, to be fair.
Okay, just because, just saying that, oh, it's just nature. Humans are nature.
Oh, it's my buddy Nick. Get out of here, bro. Somebody ban Nick. No, just kidding. Don't ban him. No, shout out to Nick, Fearless Truth, my homie. And those of you go watch his channel. He goes live later this afternoon. So go follow his channel because he debates muzzies.
To you. How are humans transcendent of nature? And if so, you need to justify that. Tell me why humans are transcendent of nature. Evolution is that's a natural process to you.
Never said that, but we have the ability to choose. That's unique for us.
Why? Why do humans have the ability to choose? Why is it unique? Like, yes, now you're starting to get it, Craig. We're ontologically transcendent as a species because God created us in his image. Now you're getting it.
What is
Right?
that?
I choose not to murder, right? Does God, it's a very simple question here. Does God have the ability to choose? Yes or no?
That is not relevant to the standard of morality.
Excuse me, I have asked your questions. I've answered your questions. So I'd like you to answer my question with a very simple yes or no. Does God have the ability to choose? Yes or no?
I don't even know what you like. Yes, I don't know what you mean. Like, what are you asking?
Thank you.
So now I got to defend my homie because this is not true because I was with him for this. We can call them Christians in a colloquial sense. That's how we call them Christians in a colloquial sense. In a formal sense, they're not Christian. So, I acknowledged Rachel earlier. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? I acknowledge him. I always shout out Rachel. Rachel's like the GOAT. So, anyways, but yeah, no, this is wrong. They are formally not Christian. Colloquially, yes, Christian. That is the position.
So God has the ability to choose. So therefore, God chose for evil to exist in this world. So then God chose to kill the evil that he himself created.
He did not create evil. He allows evil to exist, which he uses eventually for good.
No, he created everything in the universe. Therefore, he created evil.
We see, no, okay. Evil does not have an ontological status. Evil is like darkness, okay? It is in the
Guys, the reason why I allowed the lighting to go down was actually so I could make this point about how evil is like darkness. That was the whole reason why I let my lighting be total shit, was so that people got it. They were like, wait, evil's like darkness and he's sitting in darkness. So it's like the lacking of light, just like how, evil, right, is the lacking of good. So I was just, it's a visual aid, okay? It was a visual aid for people to understand. So now you get it. Now you guys understand, right?
existence of light is darkness. In the same sense, the non-existence.
So you're welcome. You're welcome for my terrible lighting situation. You're welcome.
Evil. So what?
Where did evil come from?
What do you mean? Evil is not a thing. It doesn't have an ontological status.
Evil's not a thing.
The absence of good. Evil is just the absence of good.
Oh, so what? Oh, right. So what's good?
God.
God is good. No, again, God murders because of genocide. That's not good.
God does not murder people. Murder is unjustified killing. God does not murder.
Bro, dude, that's what I just said. That is what we're saying. They're not Christian in the formal sense. Only in a colloquial sense. My goodness, do you not hear what we're saying? Do you not understand what these words mean? We can refer to them as Christian because that's the common understanding that Trinitarians are Christian. But in the Orthodox understanding, formally, only Orthodox are Christians.
Oh, no, it's not justified to kill a baby.
Ironic, considering he's pro-choice.
I'm asking for your standard, Craig. You keep asserting these
I've given
values
you my
claims.
standard. Murder
you're
is
not.
bad.
By what standard are you saying is that bad? And
By
it's
the
not.
fact that I don't need to
How-
know going to hell means that it's bad. I know that it's bad because I know it will cause suffering to other people. I know that because I am not evil. If you have to wonder why murder is bad, then that is a problem with you and the fact that
God
you
doesn't
like
murder.
to follow an evil deity. God does
God
murder.
doesn't
He
murder.
murdered babies. God
he
murdered babies. God
God
murdered
does
babies.
not murder. God murder is
God
an
murdered babies. You can't deny
murder
this.
is an
God murdered
murder is
babies.
an unjustified
God murdered
killing.
babies.
Murder
It's
is
not
hold on.
unjustified
Okay,
killing.
It's not justified to kill a baby.
Craig, 1 second. I think you said it 3 times in a row, Craig, that God murdered babies. But we gotta be able to hear what your opponent is saying. If you just keep shouting God murdered babies,
Apologies.
we can't hear
keep
his
saying that it's not
rebuttal.
God didn't murder. Yeah.
So
Keep
Because
saying
we
God
I
didn't murder.
continue to.
we can't, if you just keep shouting over him, we can't hear him. So we need to hear from Luigi.
Someone
for about
said
30
Hitchens'
seconds, and then-
argument from 2005. Literally, like this is like the neo-atheist, like Sam Harris, Christopher Hitchens, Richard Dawkins. Like this is how low tier this shit is, dude.
and we'll come back to you, Craig, for 30 seconds as well.
Okay, I keep asking Craig for his standard of why any of this is wrong. Who is he to say that this is a unjustified killing that God is committing? Who is he to say that? And how is it any different in his paradigm than a tiger eating his prey? He said, "Oh, that's a tiger doesn't have the ability to choose." Like,
Yes.
what are these ambiguous standards that he's just making up? Who determines that? Oh, the ability to choose is what makes killing justified or unjustified. Who makes these rules? Is it just Craig? Who makes these rules?
Yes, it is me. I made the rule, but again, we all know what good and the killing is bad. But
We all know. Well, clearly we don't all know. Clearly we don't. That's the whole point. That's the entire point.
I want to push back on something you said. You said that God didn't create evil. Do you know Isaiah 45:7?
Yeah, he brings up read the verse again. It's the Hebrew and the Septuagint in the Greek.
I from the light and create darkness. I make peace and create evil.
No, it's calamity. The word is calamity. It's improperly translated.
Yeah, everyone can look in this up. It's calamity, and thanks, homie. Going to be going over super chats here at the end of the stream, guys, which we're approaching. If anyone wants to call in and discuss nationalism, get some clarification on my position before I start doing TikTok. Once I start doing TikTok call-ins, I anticipate that it's going to start getting like very heated, because it's going to be all the Muslims over there, and so that'll be fun. Now is the chance to be able to like call in and get some clarification on like my position on things. We can have a heated discussion if you want a heated discussion, but yeah, I'll go over super chats at the end here of the stream here, guys, coming up, and we'll go over those after we finish the debate here.
Not according to the original translation.
Oh yeah, sorry, I was commenting on this. Yeah, the verse says calamity, not evil. So basically, God is taking the things already in creation, right? The lack of good that's already in creation, and he's actually doing good with it, right? So God has a right. God can take the things that already have entered creation, right? Including things that would be considered evil, colloquially, ironically, and he can use them for good. So that's what the verse is talking about when it says that he creates calamity. So like you can think of like God using a natural disaster as like a form of judgment. That's him creating calamity. Like that's what this verse is talking about.
What is the original translation? Do you even know?
Well,
what's the oldest translation of the Old Testament?
Well, this is I'm getting the translation from.
What's the oldest translation of the Old Testament?
It would be the Hebrew translations, right?
What Hebrew translation? It's actually the
I don't know the exact one.
What?
Some argue here that evil is actually calamity or disaster. In Hebrew, the word is ra'ah. They claim it refers to things like war, natural disasters, not moral evil. But that's still bad, right? God's basically saying, "Yeah, I unleash plagues and destruction on you. Deal with it."
Bro did the live fact check, thinking he was on the right side, and then he read it out loud, realizing, "Oh shit, wait, it actually is what Luigi is saying it is."
After the fall, so God has the right.
either way, it's bad, right? Either God created
not bad.
evil or God created the things that bring evil. So
It's not
it's
bad.
one of the two.
It's not bad.
Evil isn't bad.
God,
Evil
God,
is bad. Right, okay.
what man? We see this again and again. We see again and again in Scripture where God uses the evil of man for good. So God has the right to use those natural disasters, which are the result of mankind falling into sin. He has the right to use those things as the author of life, just as the author of a book has the right. He has the right as the author of life to use those things for good.
But he didn't use it for good.
He did use it
killed
for
babies.
good.
Killing babies isn't good.
By what standard? By what standard?
You want me to tell you by what standard killing babies isn't good? Is that
Yes.
really a question that you have to
It is
ask?
the question I've continued to ask that you
This
have
is
ran
why
away from.
Christians need the fear of hellfire to be good people.
No, and that's not even the Orthodox view. Jim Bob already educated you.
I
on
don't
this.
care if it's
In
the Orthodox view
view,
you're here for
no.
Christianity.
In the Orthodox
not
view, okay, I'm an
doesn't
Orthodox
matter what the
Christian.
Orthodox view is. You're not here
It
for
does
just
matter what the Orthodox view is. It does matter what the
No, it
Orthodox
doesn't.
view is. And for us,
Look at the title of the debate for me. What's the title of the debate? And could you point out in the title of the debate where it says Orthodox Christianity?
yeah, and I already told you how I define it, which is going to be the patristic view of Christianity, which is going to be the Orthodox view.
And it's still a bad
Okay, I want to be able to tell people, because Craig wants me to not say this because he knows it's a really good explanation of hell, so he wants me to not say this. In the Orthodox view of hell, it's a state of being. So all of us will be exposed to God in his glory, and those of us who hate God will experience it as burning. Those of us who love God will experience it as blessed. That is the Orthodox view.
So hellfire by another name, basically.
It's God is giving you what you want. You hate God, Craig. That's what God's going to give you.
No, I don't hate God. God isn't real.
You
You can't hate something that isn't real.
Yes, you do.
If God existed, yes, I would hate him. And when we met at the pearly gates, we would be fighting and I would be throwing the first punch.
Exactly.
You guys have seen those cringe like Reddit posts like, I'm a Holocaust survivor, so when I die and I meet God, he will be begging me for my mercy. Like, it's like, oh my gosh, bro. Like, it's literally like so cringe I barely can repeat it. Like, I'm sure you guys have seen those. I'm gonna see if I can dig them up.
All God is going to say is,
I can't hate something that isn't real.
God is just going to say to you, your will be
claim that I
done.
hate God, let me be clear, to claim I hate God is a falsity because I don't think God is real. Okay? So I cannot hate something that isn't real. There is no hate involved. What I hate is apologists saying that the evil things God did are for good.
You hate me.
According to you, genocide and murdering babies is okay.
Genocide, because it's not unjustified killing. Again, so you hate me.
Wait, where is genocide saying it's justified or not?
Oh my gosh, that is the definition of murder, which is what genocide is.
Did I say murder or genocide?
They're the okay. What is genocide, Craig? It's mass murder. Is it not?
It's wiping out an entire populace. And so, all right. So, could you explain to me how murdering babies is justified?
Oh my goodness.
Could you explain to me how murdering babies is justified, please?
This is a loaded question.
It's not a loaded question. Hey, no, wait. You don't get run away from this.
Oh my gosh.
You've just said that all the murder that God did is justified.
There's no murder. God didn't do any murder. God didn't do any murder.
Here, I found it. This is so cringe, bro. If there is a God, he will have to beg for my forgiveness. A phrase carved in the walls of a concentration camp cell during World War II by a Jewish prisoner. It's so cringe, bro.
God didn't do any murder.
Killed people, that's murder.
That's killing is not okay. So when you go, if you shoot a Nazi in World War II, that's murder?
Yeah. It's legal murder.
Oh my gosh.
Right? But the fact is
to go to the Q&A.
Craig is a Nazi confirmed. Craig is a Nazi sympathizer confirmed.
I want to finish this one point. Whether you call it murder or not, God unalived babies. Could you please explain how that is justified?
I've already explained it, and you have yet to give a standard for why it's wrong. I've already explained it.
I've given my standard. Other than your opinion. But you haven't answered my question.
Your standard is your opinion. Who cares about your opinion?
Could you please explain why it is justified to unalive babies?
I've already explained all this probably 10 times, and you have yet to give a.
No, you haven't. Everyone can see him running away from the simple question.
We do have to jump into the Q&A. We do have a lot of questions to get through. folks do want to say thank you very much for your questions. I don't know for sure. Any questions that come in from here, I don't know if we'll get to them because we do have such a long list, and I do want to make sure that we guys get these guys out of here about an hour from now, hour and 15 at the very most. We're going to jump right into them. Thank you very much for your first question. This one coming in from...
Okay. We're not going to go through the questions because it's pretty cringe. He did it was funny. It was later in the stream, but he defined Christian as anyone who follows Christ. So I was like, so Muslims are Christian because they claim to follow Christ? And he was like, no, they don't. And I was like, it was like, they don't consider him to be the Messiah. And I was like, yes, they do. They literally do consider him to be the Messiah. It's in the Quran. And he didn't know that. So it was pretty funny. So those of you guys that are interested, you can go watch the full thing here. I'll just go ahead and link it in the chat. If you want to see the full thing. Yeah. So somebody asked, why is it cringe worshiping someone no matter what? Wait, no, not that one. This one. No, not that one either. Where did it go? This one. Sorry, I'm retarded. If God allows people to be tortured, he doesn't deserve your worship. So like by this logic, right, it's the fault. So if parents, right, if parents decide to have a kid and that kid becomes like a rapist, you're going to blame the parents for having a kid. You're going to say it was evil of the parents to have a kid. So like what God allows by virtue of free will, right, is not something that he is responsible for because of what's called secondary causes, which is our free will. This is like very basic. So favorite Buchanan book? Oh, it's definitely Death of the West. Definitely Death of the West. No doubt. But you can also read, I also have in my stack, I have Churchill, Hitler, and the Unnecessary War. That's also an excellent book. So yeah, let me see if I have anybody who... Nobody wants to call in. So all these people debating in my comments, nobody wants to call in. All right, let's go through super chats. Actually, before I do that, please like and subscribe, guys. If you're not already subscribed to my channel, please subscribe. Thanks for tuning in today. This was a great stream. And then if you're interested in being a member to support me monthly, I would appreciate it. I'm going to be doing my first member-only live stream on Tuesday. So after I get the tech stuff worked out for that, so you can tune in on Tuesday. I'm at 31 members right now. So I told you guys I would do it at 20. So I apologize, but I'm trying to work on the tech stuff. So, and then also you can find me on X and Instagram at RealBenMichael. That's where I'm most active, and that's where I have my biggest platforms. So anyways, okay. Thank you for the super chat. Christian Andrew just went to liturgy at the Monastery of the Glorious Ascension. Blessed feast. Amen. From earth to heaven. I always forget that one. People are like, Christ is ascended. I'm like, what's the response? I always forget. From earth to heaven. Okay. Thank you, Mitch. I'm trying to listen while mowing my lawn. Please turn up the audio. I think I didn't hear him complain after that, so I think we are good. Nathan asks, can God create an atheist so REDDIT tier that he cannot make enough crayons to explain his existence to them? I'm not sure. Well, see, crayons are a touchy subject for me as a Marine, as a prior Marine. So, my favorite, I like the cherry flavored crayons. My boy Nick, go give him a subscribe, guys. And he's going to be live here in a hour. So you can go tune into his live. He debates Muslims on the Trinity, and he absolutely buries them. And he is the reason why I'm able to do all of this streaming, because he helped me set it all up. So shout out to my homeboy, Nick. Rachel, also a huge supporter of the show. Thank you, dear sister. As Jay would say, Craig is a retorted. Yes, absolutely. All right. Well, I don't have anybody that called in. So thank you guys for tuning in today. This was a great stream, as always. And I'll be traveling Saturday, so I'm not going to be streaming. So I will see you. Plus, I also have a ton of collabs I just did. So I'm going to link all the collabs on a post on my YouTube, so you guys can go watch all those. So there's plenty of content for you to watch, and then I'll see you guys on Tuesday, So thank you for tuning in, and angels be with you. Christ is ascended.